The Financial Management Dashboard is used to give real-time reports to commanders. By using a fair amount of Microsoft Office magic, we can automate the process of building reports so that once your unit's dashboard is complete, updates can be accomplished at the click of a button. It takes the form of a PowerPoint show with information routed from an Access database through Microsoft Excel. Moreover, by executing and exporting queries from Chris, the dashboard is capable of maintaining the cutting-edge data located in external sources. Now let's build one. In this tutorial, we will be building an FM dashboard. The video will walk you through each step in the process. Please pause the video after each step to give yourself the opportunity to catch up. Let's start by building a dashboard file system. Create a new folder on your desktop and name it FM Tools. Double-click to open it and create the following subfolders: 01 Data, 02 Engine, 03 Engine Feed, 04 Power Pivot, and 05 Notes. At this point, you should either have been provided or personally acquired database files for the dashboard. Put them in the 01 Data folder. The next step is to create a Microsoft Access engine for the dashboard. Navigate to the 02 Engine folder, then right-click and select New and Microsoft Access Database. Now we need to import the databases from our 01 Data folder. Go to the External tab in Microsoft Access. Click on Access. Then select Browse and navigate to the database files. Double-click each database file to import it into Microsoft Access. Select OK. Make sure you click on the table that you are importing and then click OK. Click Close and repeat these steps for the next databases. After importing the database tables, you may want to set your view mode to object type. You can do this by clicking on the arrow next to all access objects. Now let's make our queries. We're going to start by making import queries. Select the Create tab, click on Query Design. Now we're going to select the table with the data that we're going to import. Click on AFM Trans, click Add, then click Close. In the Field option, we are going to give our source information. Type in source : space and then in quotation marks AFM _ TRANS. Next, we need to select all the objects, which means all the data, within this table. You can do this by double-clicking on the header for the AFM transactions table. Then click inside that table, hold, and drag into the field options. That is an import query. Now we need to save this query. You can do this by clicking F12 and then typing in the name of the query as you would like it to be saved. In this case, we're going to use QRY _ 001 _ A _ the table name, which in this case is AFM Trans. Repeat these steps for the remaining tables while substituting AFM Trans for the appropriate table name. Once we've made our import queries, we need to adjust them to make them summation queries. Right-click on the query and select Design View. Now in the Design tab, click on Totals. The next step is to find all fields within the query that have to do with numbers or monetary values. And then we need to change to group the information by sum. So you'll notice that a new field exists in the bottom bar called Total. And all the field values here are grouped by. Now we need to locate all the field values that need to be summed and change group by to sum. Once this has been completed for the current table, move on to the next table. And once you've totaled all the summation values for all tables, move on to the next step. Now we need to build a combined table. This table will have all the information from all of our originating tables amalgamated into one larger table that the dashboard can use to get information. To help us build this table, we're going to use Microsoft Excel. If you double-click on the table query, it'll show you all of the information located within the table. If you then click on the box to the left of the header, you'll get all that information selected. Right-click and click Copy. Now let's go to Excel. In Excel, we'll paste the information that we copied from Access. Now click on the 1 next to Source in order to highlight the attributes of the first row of cells. Right-click and click Copy. Now let's open a new sheet. You can find these at the bottom of Excel. Right-click in the first cell, go to Paste Options, Paste Special, and click on Transpose. This will reorganize the fields so that they're now vertical as opposed to horizontal. If we double click next to the A, it'll expand the table cells dynamically so that we can read all the field values. Now let's go back to Access and do the same thing for the rest of the tables. Once that's done, go to the Data ribbon, click Remove Duplicates. Make sure that column A is selected and click OK. It should give you a list of duplicate field values that were removed. Click OK. This means that we now only have the unique values associated with the table, which means that all of our information is put into this one larger table, despite the fact that multiple of these tables had the same fields. Next, we need to sort this list. So click on the Home ribbon tab, go to Sort and Filter, and then sort the list A to Z. Finally, we need to copy this list and then transpose it once again. Select all the fields, copy them, move on to Sheet 3, and then Paste Special, Transpose. This will get our list in a horizontal fashion once again. Let's save the Excel workbook. You can do this by pressing F12. Save it in your FM Tools file system as Book 1. If we double click the line next to A, it'll make sure that we can read all of the fields. Now we need to make sure that all the fields that have to do with a summation are listed as a numeric value in Excel. So we'll find these sum fields, and then in there, we'll go ahead and click on the cell beneath them and set a value. The value we're going to set as default for these is 0. Then click on the cell one more time. Go to the drop-down in the Home ribbon and change the field type from General to Currency. Do this for the remaining summation fields. If your fields are in a row, you can click the box at the bottom right-hand corner of one of the fields, and then you can hold that and drag it across. When you release it, all the fields will be listed with that same value, in this case being 0, and a field type of currency. Let's save the Excel spreadsheet one more time. You can do this by clicking in the Save icon in the top left-hand corner. And let's go back to Access. Access can also import external data from an Excel spreadsheet. Click on the External Data ribbon, and this time instead of Access, let's import from Excel. Browse, and then navigate to your FM Tools file system. Double-click on Book 1. Click OK. Click Next. Make sure the box that says first row contains column headings is selected. Click Next one more time. Click Next again. Then select No Primary Key. Click Next. And then give the name of the table you would like it to be as imported. For our purposes, we'll call it TBL_overall. Click Finish and click Close. Now we need to set data types. This is the most tedious phase of the FM Tools dashboard creation. We need to go in and we need to change all dates from a text data type to date/time. And we need to go through and change all currency fields from a text type to currency. And for our purposes, all of these will be the summation fields. We need to do this for every field in TBL overall. It's often the case where there are a lot of these summation fields, and you have to manually go through and change them to a currency type. In addition to changing them to a currency type, you need to set their default value as 0. If you don't, there may be errors in your final dashboard. Now we need to make join queries. The purpose of this is to get all the information that's located in the first three queries that we imported to automatically populate TBL overall. Now if we go to Design View on the first query once again, make sure you're in the Design ribbon as well. And then click Append. Now I'll ask you what the name of the table is that you'd like to append it to. We're going to append it to the new table we just created, TBL overall. Type that in, or you can select it from the drop-down menu, then click OK. It's important to make sure that the append query was successful. We need to check all of the field names to make sure that the append to field matches the header field. If these field names do not actually match, you'll receive an error when you attempt to combine the tables together. If all of these field names match,
repeat those steps for the remaining tables.
Next, we need to make a import query for TBL overall. We do this the exact same way as we made the queries for the original tables. Click TBL overall, click on the Create ribbon, Create Query, select TBL overall, click Add, and then Close. This time, we can actually click the star instead of double-clicking on the table header. If we click the star, we can drag it into the originating field. Should give us TBL underscore overall star. This means all the information in table overall. Then we select delete in the top of our design view in order to make this query delete all the information in TBL overall. This will allow us to refresh all the information when the append queries are done. Then we click the small X in the right hand corner. It asks us if we would like to save the query. Click yes. Save the query as QRY underscore 000 underscore delete. Click OK. Now we need to sort the queries by name. We're going to create a macro that will run these queries in a specific order. And if we sort them by name, our naming scheme is such that the order of them by name will give us the exact same order as we want to execute these queries, which is to say, every time we execute these queries, we want it to start with a delete query to clear all the old information out of TBL overall. Click on the Create ribbon and then click Macro in order to create a macro. In Office 2007, the macro view looks slightly different. However, you can accomplish the same effects. If you click on the query and then drag it into the macro view, it'll show you the information for that query, and then just continue that down the line with each query in the order that you want them to be completed. We'll start with a delete query in order to clear old information out of TBL overall, and then we will move on to the append queries from each of the other tables. This will delete the information that is in TBL overall, and then query for new information from the other databases and add that information into TBL overall, which means that every time we run the macro, it'll clear out the old information and it'll add in the new information. Finally, we need to set it up such that when the macro is completed, it gives us a message to tell us that it's done. If you click into the final box and type in MSG BOX for message box, then hit enter. If you click on this query, it'll give you the attributes and information concerning the query. We would like to specify a message for it. We're just going to say done. You can make the message say anything you would like it to, but it means that after the macro is completed, if everything runs successfully, a pop-up will appear that says done. Now go ahead and close the macro. It'll ask you if you'd like to save it. Go ahead and save it as any name that you feel is appropriate. We're going to save this one as macro underscore 001 underscore update. Due to Microsoft security features, each time you run a macro, a significant number of pop-ups will occur telling you information about the query that's running. In order to streamline the process, particularly if you have many queries that need to be run, we can turn these macro alerts off. You can do this by going into the Access settings and under Client settings, deselecting Action Queries. Now we need to use Microsoft Excel one more time. Here we'll be setting up a pivot table with all the information that is associated with TBL overall. So open up a new Excel spreadsheet. Under the Data ribbon, select From Other Sources. Now we're going to select From Microsoft Query. Click on MS Access Database and click OK. This pulls up a selection window for the database. We need to navigate to the location of the engine that we created in our FM Tools file system, select the engine database and click OK. Now we need to include TBL overall. Click on it, click the arrow to add it into our columns, and then click Next. Click Next one more time, click Next again, and then click Finish. It'll ask you for options on the data that you're going to import. Click OK. Click on Properties, now we need to make sure that the tables and all the information associated with them are refreshed every time that the Excel spreadsheet is accessed. Click on Refresh Data when opening the file. This will make sure that every time the file is accessed, the data and information is refreshed. Click OK. Click OK one more time. And now all of our information is part of the Excel spreadsheet. Now we need to make a pivot table. Click on that first object, then go to the Insert tab and click on Pivot Table. This opens up a new sheet, and this sheet has our pivot table associated with it. With a pivot table, we can select all kinds of information and have the pivot table display it to us. Right-click in the first cell for the pivot table, select Pivot Table Options, and use the Display ribbon. Select Sort A to Z under Field List. Click OK. Click on the Data ribbon next, and check the box next to Refresh Data when opening the file. Select None under Number of Items to Retain under the field, and then click OK. Now let's select a couple fields so we can see what our pivot table can do. Select several fields of your choice. Make sure that some of them include some kind of numerical values. Your sum fields may be perfect for this. Next, select and drag these fields from row labels select your pivot table, click Copy, and now let's open up PowerPoint. Right-click in your PowerPoint slide, go to Paste, paste special, and then make sure it says paste link. We'll paste a Microsoft Excel worksheet object. This means that every time the PowerPoint show is accessed, it uses the information from that Excel spreadsheet in order to populate the information in the show. There's a lot more we can do with a dashboard in order to make this show appear more interesting, to spruce it up. However, this is the basics of making a dashboard. All the information that is located in your databases is now part of the PowerPoint. Now, we need to save this PowerPoint as a PowerPoint show. So if we hit F12 and click Save As, first save it as a PowerPoint presentation. This will give us the information of the PowerPoint presentation, is what we typically use. And now we're going to save it again as a PowerPoint show. A PowerPoint show is different than a presentation insofar as when you open it, you only get the full screen information that you would see if you were giving the presentation. Furthermore, the PowerPoint show accesses the presentation for the information, which means that we can distribute a link to this PowerPoint show to commanders in order to give them access to the show. The show will automatically update all the information from the Excel spreadsheets and from the Access database, so that every time a commander views the show, he's getting the latest information that has been updated into Microsoft Excel. Congratulations, you've just built your first FM dashboard.